looking at this 2006 compilation video on soul and R&B, I'm going to talk about an album that I've been planning on reviewing for some time. It fits neatly into this box, so let's go for it. Back to Black, released in 2006 by Amy Winehouse. Now, briefly, I'm not going into too much history because it's all been catalogued quite thoroughly, but she did sign a recording contract in 2002 and released her debut, Frank, in 2003. Very much a retro soul sound with the Motown spirit flowing throughout, and that basically also describes the second album, Back to Black, which tragically, unfortunately, was her final release before her untimely death. Her voice is very jazzy and soulful in a clearly untrained way, but her voice is very distinctive. Not an American diva, but the British Amy Winehouse sounds like she's lived, and adds a believability factor to the lyrics. The tunes sound like they've been around forever, instant classics. Now, Winehouse predominantly based the album on a tumultuous relationship with her then ex-boyfriend, very much influenced by pop and soul music, the 60s girl groups. Winehouse collaborated with producers Salem Remy and Mark Ronson, along with Sharon Jones's band, the Dapkins, to assist her on capturing the sounds from that time period while blending them in with contemporary R&B. At the 2008 Grammy Awards, this album, Back to Black, won Best Pop Vocal Album, and it was also nominated for Album of the Year. So all the tracks are written by Amy, apart from some joint collaboration, and I'm going to go through it. The joint collaboration involved Ronson, but there will be some details on a slide, and we're going to go through the tracks now briefly. Starts off with Rehab, punchy, funky, in your face, and very modern and catchy. Gospel and funk predominate, like a smoochy marriage with distinctive horns. It certainly has a Motown feel for sure, but Amy ain't no Magpie. You know I'm no good. I love the vocal intro on this. It swings in from the 50s with oozing horns, consuming an introspective vocal that reeks of melancholy. It stinks of the sharp, snappy beats and cracking bass lines. Then we move on to track 3, which is Me and Mr. Jones, in brackets fuckery. Early 50s croony doo-wop ballad here, and infectious vocals that has the 30s pre-war feel to it for me, instantly impressive with some slovenly harmonies. And so to the next track, Just Friends. Here we dip into a bit of ska, and it oozes with that connection. There's a calypso-style trumpet, and the singer's gravel-coated vocals struggle with the sunshine vibe. Title track's up next. It's got a haunting orchestral arrangement, very Phil Spector-ish really. Strong cut, I think, with the opening line, "He left me no time to regret, kept his dick wet." Well, you know what this one's about then. Brooding beats to the gutsy lyrics about drugs and lost love. I really like the laid-back guitar, and the arrangements aren't too imposing. And then to probably the strongest cut, Love is a Losing Game. A lonely central guitar riff that finds the singer at her most tender, vulnerable and achingly beautiful. The lyrics are heartbreaking. A classical style ballad, which is another highlight. Again, the restrained rhythm guitar is poised and perfect. So to the next, Tears Dry on Their Own. A spoken word wraps us in with that soul diva inspired melody. Seasoned horns, very Motown-like, follow, and this is right out of the early 60s soul book with a modern sheen. Distinctive, and the music rolls along in prime 60s soul fashion. Alone's next, very 50s stripped back rhythm with guitar to match. That era with soft, gentle harmonies straight out of Spector's closet. It captures the 50s atmosphere to the T. The lyrics sum it all up, of course. Then some unholy war. Amy pours it all out with that characteristic vigour. Choppy riff revs up Amy's lead vocal. The harmonies again a highlight behind the soul power of those lead vocals. Next up is He Can Only Hold Her. Horns jaunty, more jazz tones, experimental for sure, with a lovely guitar interweaving with the horns. It's a relatively weak track, albeit a strong outro from the bass tones. And then to the finale, Addicted. More jazz flute flutters between Amy's harsh vocals, and by now you're either glazed at the vocal beauty or roaring for the pain to end. This is a piece of absolute 5-star brilliant, this album. It has to be said that a dozen years on, I've slowly cultivated my love for it, and it now stands as a shining beacon to the wonderment of Amy Winehouse. It's such a sad tale to know that she had only just started when she was taken away from her. If you haven't listened to Amy, then dip into these two albums, particularly this one. You won't be disappointed. It was a sad farewell, although we have subsequently had a few sort of outtake albums to wallow in. But that's it from me in the soul retro R&B genre for 2006. It's Back in Black by Amy Winehouse.